What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Swish Life Garage. And today, guys, you guys see it right here. I got my 92 Prelude. Bought it about a year ago. Only has 83,000 miles on the odometer. And today I'm going to be working on this car to make it my new daily driver, or at least try to make it my new daily driver. If you guys already know, I do have a 2000 Civic EX sedan. If you see it right there, I've been driving that for about a year and a half. And that's about the time frame when I start to get bored of driving a car. I just get used to driving them and like to mix some things up. And the 4th gen Prelude, if you guys don't already know, this is where it's kind of all started for me on the Hondas. This is what got me hyped for the Hondas. It's the perfect mix of an economy car and a sports car put together. And this is one of the nicest Hondas to me that they ever came out with. Like I said, I bought this car over a year ago, and I just bought it, parked it, moved it a couple of times, and that's kind of basically all I did. A couple of months ago, the street did flood and the Prelude got some water on the floorboards. So since that happened, I stripped out the whole interior, cleaned everything up, scrubbed everything up, and used a carpet cleaner to clean up the carpet, the seats, a lot of the whole interior, basically all the trash, anything that might have been underneath it. So interior wise, we're looking good. Before I cleaned it, the interior really was not dirty. Again, this car has 83,000 miles, and whenever I was moving the car back and forth, just kind of rotating cars, the transmission looked like it was leaking out some fluid. So that's something I'm gonna be looking into. First thing I need to do is put a battery in this car. So I did purchase a battery from Walmart. That's what I'm going to be doing here, so I can get it up the driveway, start to take a deeper look at it. And the other thing is that the cluster does not work for the fuel and coolant temperature. So last time I filled up this car is when I bought it out in Fort Worth. I filled it on up, drove it home, and have not put gas in it since. So I am going to throw a little bit of fuel in it. Quickly put in that little bit of fuel and put in the battery here. The batteries, for the most part, that I buy are from Walmart just because they have the warranty on them, and I've had pretty good luck with them. As far as for like O'Reilly's and AutoZone, for the most part, never recommend those, and the price is way up there on those too. So check out Walmart if you guys haven't already for your car batteries. It's been about 4, maybe 5 months since I last started the car to move it. Hopefully I shouldn't have any issues. So let's go ahead and give it a try and put it up on the driveway. So the Prelude started up pretty easily there, and I mean, it did have a high idle, and it doesn't exactly sound the best as of right now. But some quick things I noticed as soon as I opened the hood right here is it looks like there's some sort of leak here, transmission line, which they got running to an aftermarket cooler. And then I noticed that the alternator belt was wet, and it looks like some power steering is getting on there, so this hose is leaking. And also on the transmission, it looks like some oil has been leaking around it. I do see back here on the intake, it looks like some grease oil has been building up there, but it also does look like a new valve cover gasket has been put on there. So gonna just basically kind of just run through this car, see what can be fixed, if I have already some of the parts to fix it. I did order quite a few seals and gaskets, stuff like that I know is general maintenance. Just looking at this power steering hose, I know I don't have that hose. I'm probably gonna have to buy a aftermarket, go to O'Reilly's, AutoZone, and buy a hose, a longer hose, because there's some sort of like halfway connection to the transmission Not sure why it's just not one full tube here, so probably gonna have to be replacing that. Another thing I noticed whenever I started the car is that the brake light is on, and that is due to over here on the low brake fluid. It does look like the master cylinder has been leaking. I see some rust around it. If you guys take a look at the base of the brake master cylinder and the brake booster, you can see some paint starting to bubble up and some rust around it, so that gives you a hint that the brake booster is leaking there. The battery light is on, so the alternator might be out on this thing. I'm gonna have to check the voltage. Already noticing some quick things, but gonna be jacking up the car as well, and we're gonna take a look underneath. Hey guys, so the Prelude is jacked up, and if you guys see there is an oil leak. Just taking a look underneath here, there's quite a few oil leaks down here, man. Starting with the oil pan, just looking at it around the edges, it looks wet. It does look like maybe the front main seal is leaking also. And then take a look around the block, it looks like the oil pressure sensor is wet. That's caused by the coolant O-ring right there for the adapter for the cooler. You gotta take off the oil filter in order to go ahead and change that out. And then looking over here, we got that main leak on the ground, and that looks like it's coming from the cam cap up on top. You see the oil, and then it goes all the way on up, going up to the top of the block. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be the cam cap leaking. Quite possibly that rear main seal might be leaking, but it's just a lot of oil from that cam cap, so it's kind of hard to tell. Maybe it looks like that CV output seals are leaking. So again, this is a car that has low miles, but it's pretty old. It's about, what is it, 32 years old, so some of that rubber and stuff just starts to deteriorate. Now as I look above myself here, I see the oil pan. They just stuck a random bolt in there, so not sure what's going on with that. And then while I'm down here, take a look at the exhaust. Just kind of real cheaply put together. You see those fittings there, they don't look the best. It has a little small cat there, aftermarket cat. And it's welded up to the header. That's not really what I like to see, but that's what I'm working with right now. And then just looking off to the side here on suspension, for sure that lower and upper ball joint need to be replaced. That upper ball joint really is just torn on up. Again, this is what you get with the older cars, rubber deteriorating, and just everything has to be replaced. Back on top here, here's that cap. It's right behind the ignition coil pack, and so that cap, I could tell, is leaking quite a bit as I look down. I know it's probably not going to come out on camera, but it's leaking quite a bit, man. Well, I guess to start off with, I'm going to be checking out the air filter, and then I'll be doing a compression check on this motor. This air filter really doesn't look too bad at all, so just going to be leaving that in for now. Guys, my bad, I forgot to turn on the camera, but I took out the spark plug wires and I took out the spark plugs. Spark plugs were way too tight in here, and all of them came out with a little bit wet, which is not something really want to see. I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe it's just the valve cover gasket, or hopefully it's just fuel on them. Going to be doing a compression test on the motor. The next thing I'm going to do is take out the fuse for the fuel pump. Here on the driver's side, on the inside, and took off the fuse panel. There's two fuses for the ECU. 215s, I got those out just to make sure the fuel pump does not come on whenever I'm doing the compression test. Just going to be starting with the number 1 cylinder, just trying to see consistent even numbers. I'm really hoping there is consistent even numbers, because just seeing all these leaks just kind of overwhelms me, you know, and it's just kind of not looking good in my opinion. I mean, anything is fixable, but I get tired of breaking my back, honestly, for these cars sometimes. I just want to drive, just enjoy it. But anyways, let's get started here, man. Do the number 1 cylinder. I'll try to go ahead and get you guys zoomed in on this. Of course, we don't have the injector spring, so just going to turn the motor over about 5-6 times to get a complete reading. And this is just a dry test. Alright, so it's looking pretty good, man. We got about 215, if you guys can't see. Let's go ahead and try it one more time. So 215, that's a pretty good number. Let's go ahead and get on to the second cylinder. Here we go on cylinder number 2. Alright, looks good, about 215, about the same. One more time. Same thing, 215. Looking good. Cylinder number 3, let's get it. Looking good, about 220. And second time there, same thing, about 220. Right, and now last one here, cylinder number 4, hope to see about 220, 215. About 200, I would say. I think I might have not had it all the way tight, so one more time, hopefully for good luck. Actually, that might have been the problem, guys. I'm at about 215, so I'm gonna try one more time. Alright, so we're actually looking pretty good, about 215, 210. So it's all looking good. Cylinder number 1, 2, 3 at about 215, and cylinder number 4 just slightly lower, about 5 psi, 210, close to 215. But looking good, guys. Taking out the compression tester out of the engine. It's a little wet, just like the spark plugs were, but it does smell like gas. So that's one thing I did want to mention. It smells like gas, and it's not oil. Another thing I'm going to check, since I saw the light on, is the alternator. The battery light was on in the car, so I'm going to turn on the car just for a short period, just so I could go ahead and test it out. Sure if the camera had captured it, but I did start the car, tested out the alternator, and the alternator shows to be charging at 13.5 volts, and I checked the battery as well, is about 13.3 volts. So it seems like it's charging. Possibly it might just be the power steering getting the alternator wet, making it slip a little bit. I'm not sure, but as of right now, it seems like the alternator is charging. So again, this is just kind of like an overview of what I'm working with on the Prelude, just getting a little bit deeper into it. The compression test came out real good, so I'm working with a good engine. Really, it's just going to be like a lot of little maintenance here and there. It's not really so much expensive, but when it's all at once, it's just kind of a lot. Looking at the front here, I know it does have an aftermarket radiator, but just kind of the way it was put in, these aren't aligning. They try to make a bracket for it, it's not holding. This is not holding. I mean, it all seems like it's tight on there, but I think they just kind of squished it up in there. And then these hoses just kind of all touching, and a bunch of weird stuff that's not supposed to be happening, man. So right now I'm just trying to get my thoughts organized, just trying to see what I need to attack first on this car. For now, I think what I'm gonna do is just wash this car on up, just get all these leaves and stuff out of the areas it's not supposed to be in, make sure all the drains are draining. I made sure the tires have the proper air pressure in them. They were a tad bit low, so just filled them right on up. And now I have the power washer hooked up here, have the water running. I'm going to try to give the Prelude a pretty good little wash down, and a lot of the areas where the dirt likes to collect and hide at, try to get them out. A lot of grease, grime did come out of the engine bay. It's looking a whole lot better in here, man. Even though this does not fix any of the leaks, it's looking a whole lot better in here. Engine bay is pretty clean as far as what I can get with the power washer without removing anything. Outside of the car still looks good. If you guys don't remember, this car does have some hail damage, since I did pick it up from like the Dallas Fort Worth area. And just show you guys the interior for you guys that have not seen any of the previous videos. Interior is very clean, man. Factory leather optional interior. They do have a digital cluster for the coolant temperature and the fuel gauge on this car. This one is not working, so I am going to have to buy one or try to fix it. That's another thing that's wrong with the car. Does not have a radio in here, which isn't really an issue, but it just doesn't have one in here. And the AC does work, heater does work, cruise control, and pretty much everything works on this car, man. It's really a clean car, but you know, as you guys saw in this video, a lot of the seals are leaking, so that's going to be one of the main things to getting this car back on the road. Just wanted to make this quick video for you guys so I could see what exactly needs to be addressed first on this car as far as for working on it, and for you guys as well to stay updated onto these projects. I know there's a lot of 4th gen Prelude guys on here that want to see these videos on how-tos and just modifying the 4th gen Prelude, so expect the videos to be coming, guys. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. As well, like this video, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because you're definitely going to be seeing this thing on the channel. But till the next video, guys, I'm going to have to catch you on the next one, player.